What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So the AK47 Radiance has finally made a return to COD mobile, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who have been recently a fan of the AK47 have been waiting for this Mythic skin to come out. So today I thought it would be a good idea to kind of have like a retrospective video and just again go over all the features that it does have, and to tell you guys whether or not even today if it's worth buying. So the AK47 Radiance came out at a pretty bad time, especially for the AK47. It wasn't really meta. It did receive some buffs, but they were never really enough. Some of the buffs did return its 3-shot kill potential, but overall that's it. They didn't really do much. It was also during the time where the AK-47 actually got a new signature attachment other than the 5.45 round mag, which is the Guru combo grip. What this barrel did basically gave you a silencer alongside a lot of recoil control, whether it be horizontal or vertical, and it also gave you a great, and I mean a great deal of bullet spread accuracy. Of course, the AK-47 is probably one of the more accurate assault rifles, even before all the changes and before this barrel came out. But that attachment, I believe, was probably more well fit for Battle Royale specifically. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of that barrel was just mainly the fact that it provided way too many downsides for features that are more or less useless for the AK-47. Of course, this was during the time when the AK-47 wasn't really as great as it is now in terms of recoil control. Now it's like a complete laser at this point. But back in the day, it wasn't like that. It had a lot of, visual bounce. It had a lot of vertical recoil back in the day. But even then, it wasn't really worth losing a lot of speed. And I say that because I think you lost like over, 30% ADS speed, as well as like movement speed and ADS movement speed. All to have just a slight bit of range reduction, a lot of recoil control, and a built-in suppressor. That sounds like a lot, but I don't really think it's actually, warranting the amount of downsides that it actually has. And I do understand that it did come with the Radiance. It was one of the built-in attachments that came with it. But again, a lot of people don't really use it nowadays. I think, if anything, people would rather stick to the Ranger barrel, which is probably still the best barrel to date. So yeah, that was that. I mean, it was a good idea on paper, but if they just decrease the downsides a little bit, maybe it would be a bit more useful. But unfortunately, it just never was the case. And given the fact that the AK has never been more stable than it is right now, it just makes it even more pointless to use. But when it comes to the AK-47 Radiance, it was actually one of the last Mythic skins to have the 8 Mythic level feature before we moved to, of course, the 5 level feature. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the second to last before like the Switchblade and the Odin. The Odin was like the very, very last Mythic to have the 8 level template. And I think that was actually for the best, because most of the attachments that you would unlock, grinding, or I guess getting your weapon maxed out to level 8 in the Mythic levels, were never really that useful. If anything, they just had it for a bunch of attachments that most likely you would never use. I believe that was probably one of the more fundamental issues with upgrading your level all the way to the max in order to get all those attachment skins. With the new setup that we do have now, the 5 level template, all you have to do is just make it to level 3 and that's it. It only takes about 750 Mythic cards, whereas back then it would take 2,000. So if anything, it was a huge money saver the way that they have it right now. And believe it or not, this was actually the very last Mythic that I upgraded to the max. Even with the Odin, I never actually upgraded it like to its fullest. And I think that was actually for the best, because again, I don't really use the Colossus suppressor or just all those extra attachments. However, with the new template that we do have when it comes to like all the attachment skins that you get for your Mythics, it's not as much, but the one upside is that most of them are going to be attachments that you definitely would be using. It's not like one of those things where, they have like an attachment skin for like the OWC light suppressor or the flash guard, stuff that people would never use in their dizziest days. It's like most of the attachment skins that you get in these new Mythics are always going to be useful to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, the AK-47 Radiance did alright with some of its attachments, like, well, at least the ones that they had for all the Mythic levels. And, some of them are ones that I used over time. But, you know, really just getting up to like level 4 in that type of mythic layout, it's, you know, it's for the best. It's not really worth upgrading to the max. As for the death effects, it does have 3 different ones. There's a default one where it's kind of like just this pink shining light, and then there's like pink glass shattering, which is like the middle death effect, and the final death effect is the one that you're seeing right now, where it's all these like different slashes on the enemy. But to get those death effects, you kind of have to go deep within the levels, like around level 7, I think, to get the last death effect. But it is what it is. It's up to the player whether or not they want to. I mean, death effects aren't always the best thing. Of course, when it comes to, you know, legendary and mythic skins, I think one of the best selling points is the iron sight. And of course, with the Radiance, it doesn't really disappoint. It's a built-in red dot sight, and that's something that mythics nowadays do kind of take up now. I mean, if anything, all of the mythics that we've gotten so far, like past the Morning Star, have just been, you know, simple dots or just red dot sights that are built into the weapon, which is actually a great thing. But overall, the AK47 is probably among one of the better aesthetically looking legendary skins. Oh, sorry, legendary mythic skins. My mistake. That has ever really been released in COD Mobile, and this was actually the first mythic in this game to come out for an already existing weapon. Typically, when it comes to every season that we get a mythic, it's always with whatever new weapon comes out that season. But this one was actually different because this was actually the first one to come out for an already existing gun, like I said. But it's nice that they brought it back anyways, because now the AK-47 is actually in a good state. It's in actually the most perfect state that it can be in. But anyways, for all of you guys that may be maining the gun for now, I mean, maybe you should pick it up, maybe you shouldn't. It's not really my choice, my place to say, but I mean, if you have some money to burn, then just, you know, go ahead and get it. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content, and I'll see you guys next time.